Hey guys, welcome back to the audio workshop from masondayatproductions.com and masondayatmixing.com, where we talk about how to improve ourselves as recording engineers, musicians, and mixing engineers as well. So make sure to drop by the blog. You can see the full posts and other stuff that you can read about for mixing, production, songwriting, and more. Let's talk about something called vocals. And vocals are the most important element of any mix. It's what the listener hears on a really good stereo system to a very bad stereo system or a mono system. So you got to make sure your vocal is clear, it's clean, it's bright, it's poppin', it's controlled with dynamics. And of course, you want to make sure that you can hear every single word and that it's not being buried by the music. And traditionally, what people and mixing engineers would relatively do would be to take your vocal and automate it using a fader, automating the volume. So you can grab your fader and you can automate it using the fader. So you just grab it like that, and every time the vocal comes up, we can do this. So I'll show you an example of what you could do. So.
Almost there. I can feel it in the wind. Change is coming. I can see it in my dreams. Passion, fired up all it needs.
So if you're looking at the lead vocal fader here that was highlighted, you can see that I was riding the vocal. Every time the vocal got loud, I'd pull it down. Every time the vocal got quiet, I'd pull it up. And at the end of the words, I would bring it up just so you can hear each of those syllables at the very end of the vocal. And you could do this. There's nothing wrong. There's a lot of people who will stand by using the manual fader or by clicking it. I personally use my Avid Artist Mix to automate vocals. But ever since I've gotten a particular plugin about last year or so, I've never even touched this fader anymore because I don't need to. And a lot of people say, well, this is the best way to do it. Well, the best way to do something is to, get it done and get it done right. A great quote from David Glenn Culp from the Mix Academy was telling me that, using samples, for example, gets the job done quicker and puts food on the table. So, if the tool is going to work, it's going to work. So keep an open mind and just listen to the results of what I'm about to show you. Okay, so I'm going to show you a plugin from Waves called the Vocal Rider. And the Vocal Rider is essentially like a compressor where it automates your vocal for you, but it's not using compression. It's literally riding the fader. So it's like doing what I was doing manually, but in a plugin format. And the cool thing about the Vocal Rider is that you can set the range of how much you want it to be dynamic. You can set how fast or slow it reacts. And you can test also how sensitive it is to the vocal. So if it's more sensitive, it's going to pick up all like the lip chops and the breaths. If it's in the middle, it's a good starting point. And if it's less, you won't be picking up any of those lip chops and breaths, and it'll only be automating actual notes. Well, not notes, but more sound pressure levels, I suppose. So how do you use this plugin? Well, the first thing you can do is to slap it on your chain and slap it on your insert before the compressor, which is what I usually like to do. That way, your vocal is controlled before it goes to the compressor, so the compressor isn't going all nuts, trying to pick up dynamic notes and really making it sound unnatural. So this technique is very useful for vocals that are very dynamic. So if it goes very quiet like this and it goes very loud like that in sections, especially for the verse and chorus, this will control it a little bit before it gets to the compressor, where the compressor will do most of the work. So I want to show you what it's doing. So if I go to the verse here, just show you what this plugin's doing.
Boil in a pot of water. The fuse burning towards a firecracker. We are almost there. Almost there. I can feel it in the wind. Change is coming. I can see it in my dreams. Catching fired up all it needs. Oh.
So if if you're looking at the plugin, you can see that the fader was moving as the vocal was playing. And as it got louder, the fader would go down. And as the vocal got quieter at near the end of her little phrases, it would go up and bring up the volume. So that way, giving us a nice balanced vocal that is the same level every time. Of course, it is a plugin and it isn't going to be 100% perfect, but honestly, this plugin gets you so close. You won't be having to write that fader meticulously and probably only raising it for certain sections of the song when it gets louder or when it gets quieter. So let's say there's only one acoustic guitar, then you don't want the vocal to be super loud, right? You want it to be almost around the same level relative to that level, and then when it goes big, you want the vocal to be a little bit louder or it's going to get drowned in the mix. But this plugin doesn't do that right now, does it? It's only working effectively on the vocal itself, on this track. It's only exclusively. It's only acting as a transparent compressor. So how do you make this work the way it was intended to work? That's by using it as a sidechain to your music. And using the vocal rider that way is going to ride your vocal with the music. So when the music goes loud, it'll bring up the vocal. And when the music goes low, it'll bring down the vocal. And it depends on how much you're sending to the plugin. I'm going to show you how to do that exactly step by step in this video. And we're going to see how it goes. So we have the vocal rider on my channel here. That's fine. So it's acting as a transparent compressor. No problem. But how do we get it to ride with the music now? So if you're in Pro Tools, which most of you are, or your DAW should have the same kind of routing, as long as you can do bus channels and stuff like that, you should be able to do this. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to create an aux channel, a mono aux channel, and you create one. And what you're going to do is you're going to make a bus, and you're going to pick a bus 63 or whatever, and you're going to rename it, just so you know what it is, music sidechain. Now, I already have a channel set up, so I'm going to be using that channel to show you how I've got it done. So I have a music sidechain set up, and this is what we created before. I got a music sidechain, and it's actually bus 54, and it's set as a mono channel. Now, the thing is when you send your music to it, it's going to be playing, and it's going to be playing as a mono channel. You're playing all the stuff that you send to it. So what I like to do is I like to mute it and bring down the fader so I know that it's an inactive channel, just in case I'm looking at the board. I'm like, okay, I don't know, right? So what you have now is you have your music sidechain. And what you're going to do is you're going to send all your musical elements, everything that's there except your vocals, except your lead vocal, that is. So you send all your music to this channel. So you can see by here my mixer, I got my cellos sent to it as full, 0 dB. I got my bass sent to it. I got my acoustic guitars, all my drums, everything is sent to that bus. Because what it is, it's going to be acting as a sidechain input for my vocal rider. So I'll show you what it is. You can see how it's sending. Sending. Bass is sending as well. Electrics. Here come the drums. So all the tracks that are music are sending to it, to the music sidechain channel. So like I said before, if you don't mute it, you're going to be getting all that music in this one section. And it's going to be playing mono through it, which effectively raises the volume. So make sure you mute it because you don't need to hear it. You only need it as a sidechain input. So once you have that set up and you've sent all your channels to it, you're going to make another channel, another aux channel, and call it lead vocal rider or lead rider, whatever you want to call it. And you're going to put the vocal rider plugin on it. And what you're going to do from there is you're going to click the key and you're going to pick the music sidechain bus again. Wow, easy. You just click it, done. You have your music sidechain in there. So all the music that's in here is literally getting sidechained to this vocal rider. So now the vocal rider will be able to ride your vocal on top of the music That's the whole point, right? So let's see what's going on now.
Towards a firecracker, we're almost there. Almost there. I can feel it in the wind. Change is coming. I can see it in my dreams catching.
So what I wanted you to notice is that this green light here, that is where the music is being fed into. So to see now I'm not playing anything, it's slowly going down, and there, now it's back to 0. So it's not detecting any music. The more green it is means the more music that's being fed into it. And that's going to effectively affect the behavior of how much this fader is going to be riding on top of the music. So if it's really green, it's going to be sitting around where the top of the range, so it'll be holding it higher above the music. And if it's a quieter part, it's going to probably bring it down to around here or something like that. It's your taste of how much you want it to sit on top of the vocal or not. I like to use the trim part of the plugin to see how much I want the vocal to sit inside the mix, or if I want it to sit on top of the mix for like a pop song or something like that. But generally, I like to keep it at 12 because that way, if it's the quietest part, I could always bring it up. The second part of it now is to send your lead vocal to this lead rider chain. So I'm going to get my vocal here, my vocal lead rider, and I just send it as 0. I like to keep things constant so there are less things to fiddle around with. So now I got my lead vocal sent to it. My backing vocals will be kept. They're not the lead vocal, right? So I don't want them riding with that lead vocal unless it's a vocal double, but this song doesn't have one. So once you got the vocal sent to it, you're going to see that it rides the vocal with the music now. Let's take a look.
Towards a firecracker, we're almost there. Almost there. I can feel it in the wind. Change is coming. I can see it in my dreams catching. Fighter, all it means.
So since I have it, the input target control set to where the yellow bar is, when it exceeds that threshold, it's going to bring the vocal down. And when it's below it, it's going to bring the vocal up. For the sidechain part of it, instead of just controlling the dynamics, I wanted to control the overall dynamics of the vocal with the music. So I like to keep it very moderate when it's writing these vocals for this particular song. And you can change how much you want it to go. If you bring it up here where it's not picking up that much, it's going to be an effectively louder track. So let's take a look at that.
Towards a firecracker, we're almost there.
So it's very loud. So what I like to do is I like to adjust it to taste and see how much I want it inside the song.
Towards a firecracker, we're almost there. Almost there. I can feel it in the wind. Change is coming.
And another thing you want to notice is if I bring up the music sensitivity, it's going to detect more music and more of the artifacts of the music. So if I bring it higher, it's going to assume the song is louder, making the vocal ride on top of the louder music. So it's going to be bringing up the overall volume of the vocal. So you can see how it affects it here.
Towards a firecracker, we're almost
And if I bring it down, it really brings it down. So you have to find a happy medium.
I can feel it in the wind.
So what I like to do is I like to look at the music LED, and I want to look for something that's a transient. So I want to look for a snare drum hitting, a kick drum, or something that really brings up the overall volume of the track, something that punches the track. And I'm looking at the LED really closely, and we're trying to see that it glows a little bit more as that transient hits. So that way I know that the music is still pumping and it's a good, nice level and a good starting point to start, because during the quiet parts, it should be barely lit. And for the very loud parts, it should be almost lit all the way. So I'm going to adjust the sensitivity of the music and see how it works.
Towards a firecracker we roll.
You see how it's glowing gradually as the music goes up?
Almost there. I can feel it in the wind. Change is coming. I can see it in my dreams. Catching fire to all it means.
So there you have it. Now it's writing the music, not just the vocal. That's what really makes this plugin so great. Like, just by listening to it, I don't even have to do anything. I can hear all the words. It's not super loud when she's going close to the mic, and it's not super quiet during the quiet parts. It's writing it effectively with the music, and this is how you properly use this plugin. This is how you get the plugin to work to the most. I see people all the time saying, oh, it's a garbage plugin. It's not good. It doesn't do what it has to. I always have to automate it in the end. Well, it's probably because you're not setting it up properly. Sure, you could throw it as an insert on your channel, which is fine. That's also what it's meant to do, to affect the dynamics. But it really works when you sidechain it with the music, because there's no point if you can't hear the vocal anyway. Now, it's not a perfect plugin. So sometimes, a very odd chance, probably like 5% of the time, I have to go into my automation and I have to only ride a few sections of the vocal. Maybe the vocal ride wasn't doing it right. But usually I can do it just by adjusting the sidechain lead rider channel that I have here. Just by adjusting the gains here, bringing up the vocal, or adjusting the sensitivity of the music or the target area. And it usually gets me where I need to be 95% of the time. This saves me a lot of time. I never have to deal with writing vocals. It does it for me. And this is how you use the plugin. I love this plugin. I highly recommend it. Get it on Waves when they have a sale. I got it for like $75 because there was a good sale, and I had a coupon as well. Wait for that. I wouldn't chuck like $200 for it because they always have sales at Waves. Sorry, guys. And yeah, this is how you use it. Another thing is, if you still find the vocal a little bit too loud at 12, you can add a trim plugin and just trim it some more, and then you'll be golden. Alternatively, you could also move your fader. So that's how you use Vocal Writer properly. You can use it as a transparent compressor, which I do recommend, and I highly recommend using it as a sidechain to the music so that your vocal isn't just writing the vocal, but it's writing with the music. And that's really what it all is about, because no one's going to hear your vocal in solo. They're going to hear it with the music. And if they can't hear it, then you got to ride those vocals. Thanks for joining me on the workshop. It's been a pretty long video. Thanks for being with me. Let me know if it works for you. Leave it in the comments below. Stay tuned in 2 weeks to see the next video. Have a good one, guys. Happy mixing.